I want to give you words for something you may not have been able to say yet. Not because you don't know what's wrong, but because saying it, even privately, even just to God, has felt like too much. Shame has a way of sealing our mouths shut, convincing us that silence is safer than honesty, that if we just don't say the thing out loud, maybe it stays smaller, more manageable, less real. But shame lies about that. Silence doesn't make anything smaller. It just makes it heavier to carry alone. So this is a prayer, not a message spoken to you, but words you can pray yourself, in your own voice, whenever you're ready. Read it slowly. Let it become yours in whatever way you need it to. And know, before you even begin, that there is nothing in this prayer too shameful to say to the God it's addressed to. God, I don't know how to start this, so I'm just going to start. There's something I've been carrying that I haven't said to you directly. Not because I thought you didn't already know. I know you know. I've been avoiding saying it because saying it makes it real in a way that just thinking about it privately never quite does. As long as it stays unsaid, some part of me gets to pretend it's smaller than it is. I'm tired of that pretending. I want to actually say it. I've been ashamed. Not just about what I did, but about who I'm afraid it makes me. I've been telling myself a story where this defines me, where it's not just something I did, but proof of something fundamentally wrong with who I am. I don't fully believe that's true, but I've been acting like it's true, hiding from you the way someone hides from a person they're sure has already given up on them. I want to stop hiding. That's the whole point of this prayer. Not to perform sorrow I don't feel, not to say the right religious words, just to actually tell you the truth, plainly. The way I'd want someone to speak honestly with me if I loved them and they were hiding something from me. Here it is. Not the softened version I've been repeating to myself, not the excuse dressed up as an explanation. The actual thing. I made a choice, or a series of small choices, that I know wasn't aligned with who I want to be. I told myself it wasn't a big deal, that it wouldn't matter, that I could handle it privately without it costing me anything real. I was wrong about that. It's cost me peace. It's cost me closeness with you. It's cost me a version of myself I used to recognize more easily than I do right now. I don't want to list every justification I've used to make this feel smaller than it is. You know them already, and honestly, saying them out loud right now would just be another way of hiding behind explanation instead of actually facing what happened. So I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to say, I know what I did. I know it wasn't right. And I've been too ashamed to say that plainly, even to you, for longer than I want to admit. I think part of why I've avoided this prayer is that some part of me has been afraid of how you'd respond. Not rationally. I know, when I think about it clearly, that you're not waiting to condemn me. But shame doesn't operate rationally. It operates on old fears, old associations, a kind of instinctive bracing for rejection that doesn't actually match anything true about you. I've imagined, somewhere in the back of my mind, that if I said this plainly, something would shift. That the warmth I've counted on my whole life would suddenly cool. That I'd finally have done the thing that proves I was never actually worth loving unconditionally in the first place. I know, intellectually, that's not how grace works. But knowing it intellectually and actually believing it enough to be fully honest are two different things. And I think that gap is exactly why I've avoided this prayer for as long as I have. So I want to ask you directly, is that fear accurate? Is there a version of me, honest about all of this, that you'd actually turn away from? I don't think there is. I'm choosing to trust that there isn't, even though some old, anxious part of me is still bracing as I write these words. I'm sorry. Not in the performed way. Not in the way that's really just trying to make the discomfort go away quickly. I mean it plainly. I'm sorry for the choice, for the pattern it became, for how long I let it grow before finally naming it honestly like this. I'm sorry for the distance it created between us. Not because you moved away from me, but because I moved away from you, one small avoidance at a time, until the distance felt too large to close in a single conversation. I'm also sorry, in a different way, for how long I let shame keep me from bringing this to you sooner. I think, somewhere in me, I believed that staying quiet was a form of protecting myself. It wasn't. It was just extending the distance, making the eventual honesty. This honesty, right now, feel harder than it needed to be. I don't say all this because I think the apology itself fixes anything automatically, like some kind of magic phrase that erases the last however long. I say it because it's true, and because saying true things, even uncomfortable ones, is the actual starting point for anything to shift. Since I'm being honest, I want to name the fears underneath all of this too, because I think they've been driving more of my avoidance than I usually admit. I'm afraid that if people knew the full truth, they'd see me differently. Not just disapprove of the choice, but reassess who I actually am underneath the version I present publicly. I'm afraid that this isn't a one-time failure, but evidence of a deeper pattern I don't fully understand or know how to interrupt. I'm afraid that admitting how bad it's gotten means I have to actually do the hard work of changing it, and some tired part of me would rather keep hiding than face how much effort that's going to take. I'm putting these fears into words because I think naming them honestly takes away some of their power. Vague dread is harder to face than a specific, named fear. So there they are, named. I'm not asking you to make them disappear instantly. I'm asking you to help me hold them without letting them keep controlling what I'm willing to be honest about. I believe, even though right now it's more of a decision than a feeling, that you already knew all of this before I said a word of it. Nothing in this prayer has been new information for you. What's new, maybe, is that I'm finally saying it myself, out loud, rather than letting it sit unspoken in the back of my mind where it's had all this power over how I relate to you. I believe that grace isn't something I have to perform my way back into. I believe it was never actually withdrawn in the first place, even during the exact season I was too ashamed to bring any of this to you. I believe the distance I've felt has been mine, not yours. Something drift-built, not something you constructed as punishment. I want to believe all of this more fully than I currently do. Help me close the gap between what I know intellectually and what I actually feel and trust. I'm not asking you to erase what happened or to pretend it doesn't matter. It does matter. I'm asking for something more specific. Help me actually change, not just feel bad enough to promise change and then quietly revert once the discomfort of this moment fades. Help me figure out what needs to be released. The habit, the pattern, the thing I've known for a while isn't good for me but haven't fully let go of yet. Give me the honesty to stop minimizing it to myself, and the courage to bring it into the light rather than continuing to manage it privately. Help me rebuild whatever boundaries I've let slide, not out of fear of failing again, but out of an honest understanding of what they're actually protecting. And help me be patient with myself through the slow parts of this. I know this doesn't reverse in a single prayer, however honest. I know there will be setbacks, moments where I slip back into what I'm trying to move away from. Help me meet those setbacks without collapsing into the same shame that's kept me from praying this prayer for so long in the first place. Help me get back up quickly instead of disappearing back into silence. There's a specific weight I want to name and actually let go of in this moment. Not just talk about releasing eventually. It's the belief that this, whatever this specific thing is, makes me someone fundamentally different from who I thought I was. Someone less trustworthy, less capable of good, less worthy of the closeness I used to feel without having to think about it. I want to set that belief down right now. Not because the mistake didn't matter, but because the belief was never actually accurate, even though it's felt true for a while. I am not the worst thing I've done. I am not defined by the season of hiding that followed it. I am someone in the middle of an honest reckoning, and that reckoning, uncomfortable as it is actually evidence of growth rather than proof of permanent failure. I want to speak to the particular kind of shame I've been carrying, because I think general prayers about shame sometimes miss what it actually feels like from the inside. It's not one clean emotion. It's a mix. Embarrassment about the choice itself, fear about what it says about me, exhaustion from managing the hiding, and underneath all of it, a quiet grief for the version of myself that feels further away than I'd like. I want to bring all of that honestly, rather than trying to simplify it into a single tidy emotion I can pray about efficiently and move on from. It's messy. I'm bringing the mess, not a cleaned up version of it. I know grace was never contingent on my performance. I know it was settled before I had the chance to earn or unearn it through anything I've done, including this. I know that consequences are real and separate from worth. That facing what needs to change doesn't mean I've forfeited belonging. It just means I'm doing the honest work that belonging was always meant to make possible in the first place. I want these truths to move from something I know intellectually into something I actually trust, at the level where it changes how I actually live, not just what I'm able to say when I'm trying to sound like I have this figured out. Help me close that gap slowly, through practice rather than through a single moment of insight that fades by tomorrow. I don't know exactly what the next steps look like yet, in full detail. But I know they start with continuing to be honest, with you, and gradually, in whatever way feels right, with people I trust enough to let further into this. I know they involve actually addressing the specific pattern rather than just feeling better temporarily because I finally said something out loud. I know they'll take longer than I'd like, and that I'll need patience with myself that I haven't been very good at extending lately. I'm willing to start. Not because I've got this fully figured out, but because continuing to avoid this prayer, this honesty, this whole conversation, was clearly not working. Staying silent hasn't made anything smaller. It's just made it heavier, and I'm ready to set some of that weight down. God, there's a more specific layer underneath what I've already said, and I want to go there too, even though it's harder. It's not just the choice itself. It's the specific moment I could have stopped and didn't. I remember it. The exact instant where something in me knew, clearly, that continuing was wrong, and I continued anyway. That's the part I've been most ashamed of, more than the choice itself. Not that I failed, but that I saw it clearly and chose it anyway. I don't fully understand why I did that. Maybe it was easier in that specific moment than the alternative. Maybe I told myself, in that instant, that the warning feeling didn't count, that it was just anxiety rather than actual conviction. Whatever the reasoning was, I want to bring the specific moment to you honestly, rather than keeping it folded into the vaguer, more general confession. It's the part I've turned over privately the most, and the part I've said out loud the least. I'm saying it now. There's a difference between what I'm telling you right now and what I've told other people, even people close to me. I've given them a softer version. Enough truth to seem honest, but not the full weight of it. I've been managing my image even with the people I trust most, which I think has made me feel more alone in this than I actually needed to be. I don't know yet if I'm ready to tell them the full version. I want to be honest about that instead of pretending I've already resolved it. But I want to at least stop managing the version I bring to you. You already know the full truth anyway. There's no image to protect here, no performance that would actually work even if I tried it. So let me at least have one place, this prayer, where the full and unmanaged version gets to exist without editing. I want to name something else, honestly. How much energy it's taken to keep pretending, in ordinary daily interactions, that everything is fine. Smiling through conversations while this sits underneath everything. Answering "How are you?" with the easy, expected response while something much less simple is actually happening inside. I'm tired in a way that isn't really about sleep. It's about the constant, quiet effort of managing a gap between what's true and what I'm letting people see. I want that gap to close, at least with you first, and maybe eventually with the people I trust enough to let further in. I don't know exactly what that looks like yet, but I know staying in this exhausting management indefinitely isn't sustainable, and I know it's not actually protecting me the way some part of me has been telling myself it is. Honestly, God, even praying this feels loaded with fear I want to name. Part of me has avoided prayer entirely during this season, not just this specific confession, but prayer in general, because approaching you at all felt like it required getting this resolved first, like I needed to clean myself up before I was allowed back into an honest conversation with you. I see now how backwards that thinking was. I was treating prayer like something I had to earn access to through improved behavior, rather than the actual place where the honest reckoning was supposed to happen in the first place. I avoided the exact thing that would have helped, because I misunderstood what it required of me. I don't want to make that mistake again. I want prayer to be the place I bring things while they're still messy, not the reward I access once they're already resolved. I don't fully know what to expect from forgiveness in this moment. I don't think it's going to feel like a dramatic wave of relief washing over me instantly. though maybe some of that will come. I think it's more likely to feel like something quieter, a loosening, a slight lifting of weight, not because the situation is instantly resolved, but because the hiding, at least in this one conversation, has stopped. I want to receive whatever forgiveness actually feels like, rather than waiting for a specific dramatic version I might have expected. If it comes quietly, let me recognize it as real anyway, rather than dismissing it because it didn't arrive the way I imagined it would. I don't want to just process this shame and then go back to exactly where I was, waiting for the next mistake to build up the same weight all over again. I want something to actually shift. I want to be someone who brings things to you quickly, honestly, before shame has time to build walls around them. I want to be someone who doesn't need a crisis point to finally say the true thing out loud. I don't know exactly how to become that person immediately, but I want to start practicing it in small ways, starting with this prayer. Let this be the first of many honest conversations rather than a single dramatic exception to an otherwise avoidant pattern. God, I want to tell you something I've noticed about myself during this season of avoidance, because I think it's worth naming honestly rather than skipping past. I've learned that I'm capable of a kind of quiet dishonesty I didn't fully realize I had in me. Not big, dramatic lies, but 1,000 small omissions, redirected conversations, carefully managed impressions. I've gotten good at it, in a way that unsettles me now that I'm actually looking at it directly. I don't say this to pile on more self-condemnation. I say it because I think it's important to actually see clearly what avoidance does to a person over time. How it doesn't stay contained to the one thing being hidden, but spreads quietly into how a person communicates about everything else too. I want to unlearn that skill, if that's even the right word for it. I want to go back to being someone who doesn't need to manage impressions so carefully, because there's nothing underneath requiring that level of management anymore. I want to name honestly, in this prayer, the specific people this has touched, even if I'm not ready to be fully honest with all of them yet. There's someone who has felt my distance without understanding its source, and I know that's not fair to them, even though I haven't found the courage yet to explain why. There's someone else who might feel betrayed if they knew the full truth, and I've been avoiding that conversation longer than I should have, telling myself the timing has never quite been right, when really I think I've just been afraid. I don't know exactly what to do about each of these relationships yet, but I want to bring them to you honestly, rather than continuing to manage them from a place of hidden avoidance. Help me find the right words and the right timing for whatever honesty each of these relationships actually needs going forward. Not perfect timing, just honest timing, offered as soon as I'm able to offer it without collapsing into the same avoidance that's kept me quiet this long already. If I'm being fully honest, there's a version of this whole situation where I catch the warning signs earlier, take the small compromises seriously before they compounded into something larger, brought things to you the first week instead of letting months pass in silence. I wish I had done that. I can't go back and do it now, and I don't want to spend excessive energy grieving a version of events that isn't available to me anymore. But I want to name the wish, honestly, because I think pretending I don't feel it would just be one more small dishonesty layered onto everything else. What I can actually do is take what I've learned from how long this took and let it change how quickly I bring things to you going forward. I don't want the next season of struggle, whenever it comes. And I know there will be one, because that's simply how life works. To take this long to become something I'm willing to name honestly. Let this whole difficult process at least teach me that much. God, I want to notice, honestly, what's happening in me as I actually pray this rather than continuing to avoid it. There's relief, more than I expected. There's also lingering fear, quieter now than it was at the start of this prayer, but not fully gone. There's a kind of exhaustion that feels different from the exhaustion of hiding. This feels more like the tiredness after finally putting down something heavy, rather than the tiredness of continuing to carry it. I want to stay with these feelings for a moment rather than rushing past them toward whatever comes next. This moment, right now, praying this honestly for maybe the first time, matters. I don't want to minimize it by treating it as just a formality on the way to the real work of change. This is real work too. This honesty, right now, is not nothing. Prayer. I don't know yet who that person is, or exactly how that conversation will go. But I want to ask you to help me identify them and to give me the courage to actually have that conversation once I do, rather than letting this stay contained entirely to private prayer indefinitely. I know isolation has been part of what let this grow as large as it did. I don't want to repeat that pattern going forward. Help me find and lean on real, honest community. Even though vulnerability like that has never come easily to me, and especially doesn't come easily right now, in the middle of feeling this exposed already just from praying this one prayer. God, I know this prayer, however honest, is not the whole of what's needed. There will be tomorrow, and the day after, and all the ordinary days where the actual work of change has to happen in small, unglamorous increments rather than in a single dramatic moment of confession. I want to ask for help specifically with those days, the ones that won't feel as significant as this one, where it will be easier to let the old patterns of avoidance and minimizing creep back in simply because no one is watching this closely in the ordinary moments the way I'm watching myself right now. Help me carry the honesty of this prayer forward into those ordinary days. Help me not let this become a single, isolated moment of vulnerability, quickly forgotten once the discomfort of writing it down has passed. I want this to be a beginning, not an isolated event. Give me whatever I need: courage, humility, patient friends, quiet reminders, and stillness. To keep choosing honesty on the ordinary days too, not just in this one, unusually vulnerable moment. Thank you for not needing me to have this perfectly sorted out before I was allowed to bring it to you honestly. Thank you for already knowing everything I've said here, and for not turning away during however long it took me to actually say it myself. I don't fully understand grace that doesn't require me to earn my way back into it, but I want to keep trusting it, one honest prayer at a time, starting with this one. I'm not asking for the shame to disappear instantly. I'm asking for the courage to keep bringing things honestly to you, even when they're uncomfortable, rather than letting shame convince me again that hiding is safer than honesty. It isn't. I know that now, or at least I'm choosing to believe it, even on the days it doesn't fully feel true yet. I came to this prayer ashamed. I want to leave it a little less ashamed than I arrived. Not because everything is instantly resolved, but because I finally said the true thing out loud and nothing broke. You're still here. I'm still here. And that, more than anything else in this prayer, feels like the actual answer I needed. Amen. If you prayed that, or even just read it slowly and let some part of it land, I want to say one more thing directly to you. Whatever you were too ashamed to say before reading this, saying it, even privately, even imperfectly, was never going to cost you what shame convinced you it would. You are not less loved for having been honest. You are, if anything, closer to the kind of freedom that only honesty, offered without pretending, actually makes possible. Whatever comes next for you, it starts from here, already forgiven, already known, already not alone in whatever you've been carrying.